Welcome to AtVenture Dealflow, the podcast where I talk to founders who are actively fundraising and the investors who back them. Today, I'm speaking with Marianne de Feijter, co-founder and CEO of Awesome Compliance Tech. Awesome Compliance Tech is a legal tech startup that helps companies of any size manage their legal and compliance processes 10 times faster and at 20% of the cost through an all-in-one platform. Marianne was a finalist for Best Dutch Legal Counsel and has over 15 years of experience as a legal and compliance expert. In that role, she kept running into the same problem again and again. Companies spent enormous amounts of time, money, and frustration on legal and compliance processes. Marianne, I'm so happy to have you here today. Let's start with your pitch.
Yeah, sure. So Awesome Compliance Tech is your companion during your entire legal and compliance journey. So when you're a startup, you have to figure everything out from a legal perspective, but also from a compliance perspective. Then you can go to an expensive lawyer or expensive legal counsel firm. But you can also decide to come to us, and then our platform just makes sure that everything that you need is taken care of. But also when you're going to scale, you need more commercial contracts, you need to level up your compliance, and then we're there for you. So if you're about to hire a legal counsel externally or internally, then hold your horses and just come to Awesome Compliance Tech, because we will take care of everything legal and compliance for you.
Okay, that sounds really great because legal and compliance are always things that a lot of founders and a lot of companies are struggling with, right? I mean, not everyone has a legal person in their team, especially not in the very in the startup phase. So sounds very promising. And Marianne, if because you have been working for 15 years already in corporate lives in legal and compliance roles, what was the moment that you said, okay, this needs to change, I'm gonna do something about it, and I'm gonna start my own startup and work on a solution?
So that when I really decided that I wanted to do this was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Then generative AI, it was already there for around 9 months. And I really started to play around with it. And I really realized that my job is going to be totally different in 10 years from now. And instead of waiting for my job to be changed, I thought, well, I'm just going to make sure that I'll be part of that change, and I'm going to make that change. So that's one of the reasons why I thought, okay, the time is now to build a legal tech company. But to be honest, when I started as a legal counsel, I already felt that it was a little bit weird that our job is so protected and that you have to pay so much money for legal counsel. It is such an important role and it's such an important job, because you want to make sure that you are complying with all the laws and all the regulations, but it's so expensive. So that
Yeah.
actually means that not everybody is able to actually be compliant.
Uh,
But then I was like, okay, but yeah, it really has to change. And that's why we started also compliance technology. So we can make sure that everybody can be compliant if they inherently want to be compliant, obviously.
so well done. I can imagine that must have been a big step to step out of your comfort zone and started working in startup life. That's a big change, obviously. And you're not doing that by yourself, right? Because you are the co-founder and the CEO. That's your role in the team. Who else is on the founding team?
So we have two co-founders. That's Roel Wessels. He's our chief technology officer. He has a lot of experience in narrow AI before he joined our team. So he's been doing a lot of automation work before, and also has led a lot of tech teams. And now
Okay.
he's really deep diving to the generative AI aspects and trying to automate my work. And then we have Dick Sterk. He's really strong commercial background. So he has always sold tech to a lot of companies. And so he's always been the first man on the ground for American tech scale-ups.
Mhm.
And then he started here in EMEA, and he was the first man, and he then hired the first sales team. And then, always one of the best sales men or women, obviously. But he never really likes me bragging about that. But, it's a really important role as well next to the building,
Of course.
building, of course. But even if you build something magical, it just won't be sold magically. So you need somebody who has a strong record on that. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy that we're three co-founders, and then we also have a co-founder team member. She's not a co-founder in the sense of being the co-founder, but she has been there from the start, and her name is Annemarie Arends.
Mhm.
And she's really been helping out with building a brand, because in the legal tech space, which is getting a little bit crowded, it's really important to stand out from a brand perspective. As is also with SaaS, obviously. So we decided to invest into building a good brand from the beginning instead of trying to pivot each time later. So so I
Okay.
was very
So
happy that
she's
she's
really
been
on the
helping out.
marketing branding side of things. Yeah. Okay. Okay, sounds like a good mix of people. And you're fundraising right now. Are you also gonna expand the team with that funding, or what are the plans there?
Yeah, exactly. So currently we're hiring 2 external teams. So we have one external team really building the platform. And then we have another external team who is working together with us on the automation. But it always has been from the beginning that we wanted to have people on our own payroll, obviously, be part of our team. And we now already have our first vacancies out there, and about to hire most probably our first real-time employee.
So how many people would you like to have on your team,
Yeah,
basically?
so
So
we're,
how many
we're
vacancies do you have now? Yeah.
so for UX front end vacancy, we have a vacancy for an automation expert, a whole expert, and a full stacker. And also, we're expanding our legal counsel team. So, legal and compliance counsels who will then roll out our platform at clients. So, help with adoption and implementation.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Indeed, exciting milestones coming ahead. So there is a problem, right? Because right now people either are not compliant, or they're just doing something, or they're paying a lot of money, right? So that's the
Exactly.
current situation. Um, uh, just to understand, let's say I'm starting my own company and I'm just using an AI tool, ChatGPT or another one, to see, okay, what do I need to do? I have no idea. I have a food tech company. I'm gonna launch. I'm gonna sell B2C, and I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT what I need to do. What are the risks there? Is there? I mean, can you maybe name an example of where things went wrong, or um,
Yeah, there are multiple things that can go wrong. Even though obviously ChatGPT, to start looking at what is it that I need to do, it's not really wrong in that sense, but you're never sure, you're never comfortable whether it's actually accurate or whether you're complete, whether you've actually done everything that you need, and also, doesn't really look at, for instance, the Dutch legal ecosystem, or does it actually look at the US ecosystem? So that's actually what we're helping out with, making sure you know exactly what you need to do. You know when you're done, and you know everything is correct. And then our business model, if I can already start, because there might be a bridge going to the
yeah, no,
business
sure.
model.
Go ahead. Yeah, because I'm indeed wondering. So I'm that founder still, and I'm looking for a solution. So how does it work?
Exactly, exactly. So you can either come with us for a couple of one-offs. So, for instance, if you're like, well, I actually only want to look at my privacy notice, or I only want to make sure that my commercial package is correct, like I have
Hmm.
the right terms and conditions, like commercial contract, they can also come to us. You have a flat fee. We just say, this is what you get for these documents, and you get everything within one a working day back. Or you can say, well, no, I actually I want to know what I need to do for GDPR in total, or I want to know what I need to do for the AI Act in total. And then you get into our platform, then you get a subscription, and then we make sure you follow our roadmap. Also, here you can decide either you do it yourself or you ask us to do it uh, for you. So we can also offload all of the legal and compliance elements that you need to do. And then then we make sure you have your policies in place, your procedures in place, your assessments done, your notices, all of your contracts are up and running. And then obviously you want to have a subscription because something changes in your company. You're going to change from ChatGPT, you're going to go to Mistral, let's say.
Mhm.
And then it actually means that your data is going from the United States to France, which is a good thing from a European perspective. But you need to make sure that everything gets updated because you then have to update this in your data processor agreement. You need to update it in your privacy notice. Also in your Data Act, because if it's a new law, you also need to make sure that you mention your infrastructure change.
So how does it work then? For example, if indeed I'm still the startup and I say, okay, I first want to have everything in the right place and I make sure that I'm following all the regulations. So you do that, and then I say, okay, and I switch on the subscription because I just want to make sure that if I grow along the way that I'm still compliant everywhere. So for example, indeed, I'm gonna sell my products also in the US now. Is there something that is automated there then? So, for example, that I'm gonna sell now in the US, that and I am subscribed to your services, that is automated. That you pick that up and say, okay, whoa, wait, trigger, you need to change this and this and this because you are moving into a different market, or is the founder the one that needs to raise to you, okay, hey, I'm gonna do something now, so can you please help me, or is
No,
there something
so
I need to do?
yeah, exactly. So if you make a change in your contract, so we need to have your system of knowledge. So that's it. That's the basics that we need to have. So you are, of course, responsible for your system of knowledge. But if you change your contract, for instance, and you say, okay, now I have a new market that I'm going to enter, or I'm going to target a different market, because we're
Mhm.
going to see that change in your contract, then you can also get that automated notification indeed that you need to
Okay.
make
Okay.
changes. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting, because I think a lot of founders, they don't even know what they need to do. They just think, okay, I go to into a new market. Is there something I need to do? No idea. Maybe there's nothing you need to do, but most of the times there are things
Yeah.
that you have to do. So so I think that's yeah, a very interesting solution. And then in terms of indeed, if you talk about your business model, you say, okay, you can either have a one-off fee or you have the subscription model, and that's all at 20% of the cost of a regular lawyer, or that's
Yeah.
the yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
And then with a regular lawyer, you have to think about something like 400, 500 euros. Well, there are also GDPR specialists who charge 1,200 euros, but I didn't even take those into account.
Ah, okay. So wow, 1,200 euros. Okay, that's a good salary. Yeah, okay. Sounds very promising. But so one question that would rise then is there not something like this already? Is there not some other company offering this service? Why doesn't it exist yet? Or maybe it does, but I don't know.
Well, there are many point solutions out there
Yeah.
that cover certain elements of your compliance program. For instance, if you want to be compliant with the GDPR, you can have a look at OneTrust. If you want to have your ISO certifications in place, you can have a look at Vanta, for instance. And if you want to automate your contracts and still have a human in the loop to actually also check whether those contracts are accurate, because that's actually, I didn't really mention this, but this is a unique selling point that we have, is that you always have a lawyer in the loop.
Ah, yeah. So that's part of your
Um,
business model, basically, that
exactly.
there's also human checking
Yeah,
actually everything. Okay. Yeah.
exactly. But there isn't a one platform that combines all of these elements together. And we want to be that single platform that you would be using for all of your legal and compliance challenges. Because what we see is that if you have multiple platforms, then at one point you're not going to get into at one point you're going to be in a lot of compliance and legal chaos
Yeah.
because you won't have one single source of truth anymore.
No, and indeed, if you work with a firm, you also would prefer to call one person, your contact person, and maybe he or she is gonna refer you to the expert in that team, and that's how you would like to do it because you don't want to call another firm or another one to ask the question. So basically, what you do, you really want to offer all kind of services, legal compliance
Yeah,
services.
except
So
for
everything is in scope. Okay, no, so what
okay.
except for
So there's one exception. So if you're going to prosecute,
yeah.
we won't be the one for you. So we're not the lawyers that go to prosecution for you in court. However, we are having some focus now early on, and then we're focusing on the commercial aspects from legal, also on the employment law aspects of legal, and on the GDPR, the AI Act, the Data Act, and all of the ISO certifications.
And your ideal customer then, because you say we are there for all companies, right? Small, big, anyone. What is your ideal customer in that sense? Because I can imagine a big corporate has their own legal team there. Is that also what part of your customer base, or how do you focus there?
Yeah, so we focus on the skill ups because those are the ones who most of the time already have found out there's quite some pain in being legal and compliant. So it's more on the top of their to do list. So we have to make sure now where are we on the top of the where are we on the top of the to do list? The jobs to be done. So how can we make sure we dive into those?
Yeah,
And we see more traction in the skill ups, and also we see a lot of traction in the sales commercially. So trying to speed up the sales process to make those commercial packages, so the commercial contracts that they put out there,
yeah,
to make sure that everything is just crystal clear. So that the clients of them are not asking any questions anymore. They're just like, oh, wow, you really
clear.
put
Yeah.
the,
Yeah,
you really,
you crossed
yeah,
all the yeah, you checked all the boxes. Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah,
then, and then that sales cycle just goes much smoother. And then from there, we see, oh, but this partner is actually really trustworthy. They see that we can take care of legal and compliance stuff in an on a smaller budget. And then they're like, oh, but now I also need to have ISO certification. Can you also help out with that? Or I really now want to be focusing on the AI Act.
yeah,
Can you now also take care of that? So then we land and expand from there. However, corporates could also use our technology because it will speed up the process of their legal and compliance team. We are already focusing on one enterprise contract, so we have one enterprise client, but we're not focusing on them right now just yet because we also know that you need to have track records. And so we're working on that track record with this launching customer, enterprise customer, and also with the skill ups so that we can really show them it works. And then in the end, they could also use it, of course. So we're dividing our commercial contracts into the whales and the deers and the rabbits.
yeah, 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 yeah. Cool. Yeah, and I can imagine that in corporates, maybe some people are a bit afraid of you even
Exactly.
in the league because they see their job. Ooh, this is a bit of a dangerous animal coming my way if we keep talking about animals. Because yeah, what will happen to their job if this is becoming big, and are they still the ones yeah that need to do the job, or can you actually do everything? Because you
Exactly.
always
So
have this human element there.
exactly. But if you sell to the enterprise, then they will be the human on the loop.
Ah, yeah, okay.
So
So
then they
that's
still will
then.
have a job.
Yeah. No, good. So they will keep their job, but only their job will be easier. Basically, they will be
Yeah,
helped in their job.
they
Yeah.
will be helped on that mundane administrative work, like
Yeah.
that repetitive work, but
Yeah.
the bigger strategic thing or helping them with adoption, doing training and awareness, even though we have an e-learning solution in our platform as well, there will always be sufficient room for the lawyer in the loop or on the loop.
Yeah.
Um, it will just be indeed easier and smoother. Yeah. But indeed, they're like, okay, uh, yeah, we're really in the early stage of adoption of AI. And then legal counsels are a little bit laggards. Like, there are definitely evangelists and there are definitely early adopters, sufficient of them. And we also have a couple of them joining as angels. So, really happy about that. But
That's really
then,
cool. Yeah.
the majority is still a little bit afraid. Yeah,
Yeah.
a skeptic. And
Yeah.
that's okay. That it's for
Yeah.
us to make sure that we can.
To prove that you can actually do it and make the whole segment in a way better, right? So that's what you want to achieve, that you want to improve. And in terms of sales, then, because you have someone in the team really focused then on sales. You say your target customer group are basically scale ups. How are you doing that in terms of getting there? Who is your contact person also at a scale up? Is that the CEO or the CFO, or
Yeah.
how are you getting into the doors there?
So we're visiting a lot of those startup and scale up events to to say, okay, here we are, we can help out.
Yeah.
We also joined several groups, founder networks. Yeah, founder,
Yeah.
just to mention that we're out there. But we also have a couple of resellers. Those are legal counsels or ISO consultants who are then using our platform in their own work. So they're then offering it to their clients.
So that's also sort of a side stream that you're running. And
Exactly.
and then in terms of pricing, so anyone who's listening right now and is running a scale up and is saying, okay, I just first want to get a one-off fee or a subscription. Is it a fixed pay or the subscription, or is it depending on the scale up itself and the
You want
sector,
to have
or
the
how is
honest
that?
honest answer?
Yeah, the honest, please.
Obviously we're also figuring out pricing. So we're just
Yeah.
checking a little bit on, what will be, what will they pay. And we want to make sure that we get as much customers nowadays into our platform. And we want to make sure price isn't the barrier for them to say no.
Okay.
But you have to think about something like 300 euros per month when you have a subscription,
Yeah.
when you're scale up.
And then if you have a one-off fee, that depends, then I can imagine, on the number of documents that you're asking, or that is really more tailored for your solution.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you have
Okay.
to think about, you can have a NDA, for instance, for 75 euros, or a DPA for 150 euros. So something along those lines. But we're just checking still, what
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So I understand that you want to get as much customers in as possible, and you learn from that, and then of course pricing. Yeah, you can adjust, or you can pivot there. What can you say in terms of traction? How many customers do you have so far, and how are they rating your solution? Or are there returning customers? What is your churn? Can you say
Yeah.
something about
So
your
we have
traction?
12 customers. And we only had one company churning, but that's because they bankrupted.
Okay, yeah, that's a good reason.
So that's churning indeed. And one of them is then the bigger enterprise contract.
Yeah.
And so we have around 10K MRR.
And then let's say they scale up, so it's successful and it's keeping running. And at one point, this scale up is growing, and he's gonna hire his own legal person. Then I assume, or is it still okay
Could
with
be.
to run with your solution?
You can still run with our solution, but obviously you will have to pay more at one point. So you can still decide not to hire somebody internally. But we can also say, okay, you get the keys to our platform and you hire your own person.
Yeah. Yeah, and about that, so because you say, okay, there's always a human involved. So there's you, of course, with a legal background, but I can imagine then that you have a sort of a pool of legal people that are helping, or so in the end, it's like a flex people, or are they on the payroll, or
Now
how
we
will
have
that look like?
experts. They're
Yeah.
flex people, but we also want to get those people on our payroll. So we also have some vacancies out there.
Yeah, because are they not charging you that same amount that they're actually charging,
No,
let's say, a customer? Because that's then, quite
no, they also have to use our platform, so our AI.
okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's then their benefit. So they're using your platform, and you are using them as a human interface
Exactly.
towards your customers, basically. And where are you going to in terms of revenue? So you say, okay, you already have customers now. So you say 10K you're running right now. Where are you going to? What are your projections for next
Um,
year?
Yeah, so end of next year we want to go to 800K,
How many customers would that mean then?
around 50.
50. So you're fundraising at the moment, but that's going very well, as I understood. Can
Yeah,
you tell us a bit about the round that you're raising right now?
yeah. So we initially thought we were going to raise 750K, but it turned out that we were actually able to increase the round, and we're now at around 1 million.
Well done. Congratulations on that. That's
Yeah,
that's that's really great. And is there still room in the current round? If people are listening right now and think like, wow,
yeah,
sounds very promising. I actually wanna join this round. Is there
sure.
still a
Yeah, so
possibility?
we still have some space available. So that's definitely possible.
Okay.
However, we do want to really focus on sales
Yeah. Yeah.
because and we want to close the
Of
round
course.
fairly soon.
And the use of funds, so you say, okay, part of it is for the team because you're gonna hire some people. You already have some vacancies outstanding. What else? What else are you gonna use the funding for?
So we're also still going to continue working with the two teams so that we can have so the two external teams. But we want to make sure that they are being replaced with the hires, but we don't want to have a clear cut. So we want to make sure that has a smooth transition. But the aim is to by end of Q1 to not have anybody external anymore. And then we also want to have some budget for marketing and advertising. But this round, we're not going to go harder in on advertising. It's mainly just building the platform.
I forgot actually to ask you because you're based in the Netherlands. So your service can be provided to anyone around the world, or is it really specific to Dutch companies?
No. So when you look at the compliance frameworks, it doesn't really matter where you're based because 90%, 95% of those frameworks is similar within Europe. So it's if you want to focus, if you have European customers, then you have to abide by these regulations. But if you're, for instance, in America or Australia, and you're located there, and you're targeting European customers, then you also have to abide by those rules. So they could use our technology, our platform, and our services. But we're not mainly targeting them just yet. We're starting now in the Benelux and the Nordics.
Yeah. Okay. I also always have one question about impact, but you answered that already. Where you say, okay, it's at the current situation, it's very difficult for startups, scale ups to actually be compliant because it's so expensive. You don't know where to start. Even sometimes you don't even know that you have to do something. Yeah, really. So I think there you really add value in the sense that for anyone that is starting their own company or scaling up, there is actually accessibility to being compliant. So there
Exactly.
you add the value for sure. So thank you, Marianne, for that very clear story. I would say for me it sounds very promising. I'm definitely gonna try it out myself. So if you're still an investor and you're looking at
Mhm.
legal tech and you find this an interesting proposition, there is still a little bit of room in this round. Actually, it's already overbooked, but you can still join if you want. So you can reach out to Marianne or you can reach out to us, and we can put you into contact as well. And if you are looking for a job, there are some vacancies as well at Awesome Compliance. And of course, if you're a founder and listening right now, and hey, you are looking for a solution, 10 times faster solution, and at 20% of the cost, the regular cost, then also check out Awesome Compliance. So a lot of call to actions here, but thank you, thank you very much, Marianne, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Laura Lancé, and this was AtVenture Dealflow. See you at the next great deal.